Okay, students, this is the explanation video for your very first ALEKS quiz. You should have this paper in front of you. And the steps you do to complete this process is step one is you're going to watch this video. It's about 20 minutes in length, and we're going to go through some sample problems. Problems 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you're going to, most importantly, you are going to follow, write out the notes, show your work. After you do that, you're going to log on to ALEKS, going www.aleks.com. So here's the ALEKS home site. And then you're going to have a login and a password that you will already have ahead of time. And once you log in, after you do the videos, your quiz is going to be, you're going to get to your pie page. I'm going to show you what the pie page looks like. And then you come up here and you click on quiz, and then you look for the quiz that has the most immediate date. I'll say ALEKS quiz number 1 with the appropriate dates. This is obviously an older account, but that's how you find the quiz that you actually want. So you click on quiz after you get to your pie page. Then you go through and you do cycle number 1. You're going to use ALEKS, and you're going to show your work while you're working on ALEKS. You're going to show your work right here. Problems 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's only 5 problems. You must show your work. After you show your work, you're going to click. After you hit submit, then you're going to review your work. Using a red pen, go back and correct your work. So that's cycle number 1. So right here. You must take cycle number 2, even if you get 100% the first time. Then you go through cycle number 2. You do the quiz a second time. Here's where you're going to show your work for cycle number 2. Then you check your work for number 2. If you get 100% on cycle number 2 or cycle number 1, if you get 100%, you stop and you are done. If you do not get 100% on cycle 1 and 2, then you do a third cycle in an attempt to get 100% or as high as possible. When I come to grade, I will take the highest of those 3 cycles. So grading, this is how I'm going to grade this. Taking a close look at the top. I take the highest score of the 3 cycles out of 5, and I'm going to times by 4, and that's going to be 20 points. Then you get 5 points just for watching this video and showing all your work on this paper. That's 5 points. We're at 25 points so far. Then you get 5 points for showing your work as you do the ALEKS quiz cycles and going back and correcting with red pen. That's for a total of 30 possible points. Time-wise, start to finish, honestly, since this is only 5 questions, these cycles should only take you about an hour total. Okay, let's go through these practice problems. So now you're taking this paper and you're following right here. We're going to do practice problem number 1 right here. Solving equations using fractions. The way you want to solve using fractions is first circle the denominators. Okay, now we're going to find the lowest common denominator, the LCD of 2, 7, and 3. And honestly, the LCD of this is, you just multiply them. So 2 times 3 is 6 times 7. Your LCD is going to be 42 here. So we do like this and put a giant 42 on the outside. 42, not 46. Okay, now, ready? I'd like you to circle that 2. Draw a line to 42. Bring it around top. 2 goes into 42 21 times. So I put a little 21 there. Now I'm going to go 5 times 21. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. So 5 times 21 is 105. I have a negative sign there. So I have negative 105. Then I have my equal sign. Bring that down. Next one, 7. circle it, arrow to 42. 7 goes into 42 6 times. We bring it around, put a little baby 6 there. It's going to be 1 times 6, and you have a negative, so I have negative 6v. Last one, circle 3. I'd like you to draw an arrow to 42. Don't grab that calculator. Let's do this over here. We have 42 and we have 3. Division sign. 3 goes into 4 1 time, with 1 left over. Bring down the 12. 3 goes into 12 4 times. So 3 times 14 is 42. So 3 goes in there 14 times. Bring it around. So I have 14 here. Now we do 14 times 7. There's 14. There's 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. Carry the 2. We have 98. So 3 goes in there 14 times. 14 times 7 is 98. And we have a minus sign here. So we have minus 98. Now we've gotten rid of our fractions. We want to isolate that v there. So we're going to start by adding 98 to both sides. Negative 105 plus 98. 2 gets you to 100 plus 5, so it's negative 7. Equals negative 6v. We're trying to get v by itself, so we're going to divide by negative 6. And v equals, we have a double negative, so it becomes positive, so I have 7 over 6. And that is your final answer, 7 over 6 for that. So fractions can be answers here. That's number 1. Number 2, rationalizing a denominator. Rationalizing a denominator. You want to follow these steps. The steps are, number 1, you're going to clear the basement. Okay? Number 2, you're going to factor and simplify. And number 3, you're going to reduce. So those are the steps we're following here. You're going to clear, factor, and simplify, and reduce. So step 1, we want to clear the basement by multiplying top and bottom by that same radical. So I'm going to multiply by radical root 22 equals. Innies do talk to each other, so I have 6 and 22 here, and then down below, root 22 times root 22 releases that radical. It's just 22. Now I factor. Factor 6, pull it apart. That's 3 times 2. And we're going to factor 22, and that's 2 times 11. Okay, so I've cleared, factor, and simplified. Now let's see, we have a date. These 2's are going to come out on the outside. So on the outside, I have here 2 square root, 3 times 11, and then down below I have 22. Now I reduce where I can. 2 goes into 22 11 times. My final answer, 33 over 11. over 11. Okay, now we're going to graph the line. There's a couple ways we're going to graph this line. One would be to use intercepts. Another way would be to use y equals mx plus b. So step 1, I'm going to show you how to use y equals mx plus b by doing this. We're going to write the equation here on the left, 3x minus 2y equals negative 4. Follow with me. Your goal is to get y by itself. So we're going to minus 3x, and we get negative 2y equals negative 3x minus 4. And then we go here, we're going to get rid of that negative 2, so divide by negative 2. And we get y equals, double negative makes a positive, so 3 over 2x, double negative makes a positive, plus 2. And if you were to graph that line, y equals mx plus b, we start with the b here at positive 2. And then you do your rise and your run. So we're going to rise 3, and we're going to run 2, and it's a positive line. So I rise 3, 1, 2, 3, and I run 2, 1, 2. There's my next point, and I can graph my line. Now, if I want to use intercepts, let's do this. Bring the equation up here. We have 3x minus 2y equals negative 4. Go ahead and let's make our intercept template. 0 blank, and then blank 0. Excuse me, blank 0. 0 blank, blank 0. So for this first one, we're going to put a 0 in the x. So if you say goodbye to the x, we have negative 2y equals negative 4. So that's negative 2y equals negative 4. You divide negative 2 both sides. That's going to mean your y is positive 2. Then you come over here, and if you put a 0 in the x part, we say goodbye to that, and you end up with 3x equals negative 4. If you divide by 3, of course, you're going to end up with negative 4 over positive 3. And there's your coordinates. Let me show you how you can graph those coordinates on ALEKS itself. If you want to graph those coordinates, we're going to plot the one coordinate here, which is 0, 2. So I graph 0, 2, put a 0 there, and put a 2 there. And then I plot my point. There's one point, and then the second point is negative 4/3, 0. So I plot my next point. So I'm going to go pick up the fraction bar there, negative 4 over 3, and a 0 there. Plot the point. And then on ALEKS, you can pick up your ruler here, and you're going to angle it between those 2 points. Pick up the pencil. Draw your line. And that's how you can do intercepts. Or you could also have graphed, see how it's the exact same line using y equals mx plus b. Okay, number 4, read carefully. Says the length of a rectangle is twice its width. If the perimeter of the rectangle is 48 inches, find its area. So let's look at our key terms here. First, key term is that we have a rectangle. So I'm going to draw a rectangle. And the length of the rectangle is twice the width. So see what I did? You translate right above it. Length is an equal sign, twice, 2 times, the width. And here we have width here. Then the perimeter, the actual perimeter here, the perimeter is 48. So I write P equals 48 inches. I want to find, our goal is to find its area. So this would be area. Now again, don't ask yourself what you should do, but what you can do. I'm going to write out the equation for perimeter because I already know what it is. My perimeter is 2 lengths plus 2 widths. So let's write that out. 2 lengths plus 2 widths. Problem is right now is that we have two variables. So now we're going to do circle, plug, chug. Please write that down exactly as I have it. Ready? Follow me, please. Circle perimeter. And look, we have perimeter. We're going to plug in that 48 right in there because we can. So I have 48 equals 2. Circle the L. Now come over here. We have an L, but we're going to change it to this other variable so that we can get down to one variable. So we're going to replace L with 2W plus 2 times the width, which is W. Now we're down to one variable. Now we can start getting some dimensions here. So now we solve for the width. 2 times 2 is 4. W plus 2W. Keep working. 48, and we add 4 plus 2, 6W. Divide both sides by 6. 48 divided by 6, that means our W is going to be 8 inches. You're not done. Remember, we're trying to go for area. Let's write the equation for area. Area equals length times width. So we just got the width, which is 8 inches. Problem is we don't have the length yet. But the length is 2 times the width. So 2 times 8 is 16. Now, come down here, write your equation for area. Area equals length times width. Area equals length, which is 16 times 8. I'm going to come in the margin. I'm going to do this longhand. 16 times 8. 8 times that is 48. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 4. My answer is 128. And then we have to watch out for units. Inches squared. Careful, when you do ALEKS, it's going to want proper units. Okay, problem number 5. It says, given 2 points, write an equation of a line in y equals mx plus b form. Okay, so let's write out the equation. Y equals mx plus b. Now there's only 2 things you need. You need an m, which is slope, and you need a b, which is the y-intercept. Okay, so how do we find slope given only 2 points? Slope equals rise over run. And to find the rise, we're going to subtract the y's. So we're going to be doing y minus y. To find the run, we're going to subtract the x's, x minus x. Ready? Do this with me. I'd like you to box your y's, draw an arrow. Now we're going to subtract from left to right. So I have -1 minus -5 over. I'd like you to circle your x's, arrow, left to right. Now we're going to subtract left to right, -6 minus 4. Now let's clean this up. Double negative makes positive. So -1 plus 5 makes a 4 over -6 minus 10, -10. We can reduce. 2 goes in here twice, 2 goes in here 5 times. So my slope in this equation, my m, is going to be -2/5. Keep that in mind. Now, for your y-intercept, what we want to do here is we write now our equation. We have y equals negative 2/5 x plus our unknown intercept. We still have too many variables, but let's look what we do have here. We do have an x and a y. So it doesn't matter which one you choose. So I'm going to just go ahead and choose the first one here. So I'm going to put this right where the x is, and this right where the y is. So bring it down. We have negative 1 equals negative 2/5 times negative 6 plus b. Okay? This one, I multiply my numerators, and I get negative 1 equals 2 times 6. That's 12/5 plus b. Let me bring this over here. Negative 1 equals 12/5 plus b. I see I need my denominator to be 5, so I'm going to change this. Since that was negative 1, I'm going to make that negative 5/5, so my denominators match. So to clear that 12/5, I'm going to minus 12/5, minus 12/5. Negative 5 minus 12 is negative 17/5, and that's my solution now for b. So your final equation, I'm going to put it in this box right here, y equals mx plus b, y equals mx plus b. Your equation that you'll plug in would be y equals negative 2/5 x minus 17/5. And that would be the answer you would put in to ALEKS.